from the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
G'day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media, or Voice of America, on the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. I'm Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday conveyed his profound appreciation to Malacañang employees for their year-round dedication and service. Speaking during the flag-raising ceremony at the office of the President, the Chief Executive commended personnel for consistently performing above and beyond their duties. President Marcos urged them to remain focused despite political noise, acknowledging their crucial role in advancing the administration's reform agenda. The President also extended his Christmas wishes, encouraging employees to enjoy the season with their families and loved ones.
We have this tradition of coming to be with you, especially during Christmas time, because it gives me an opportunity to thank you all for the very hard and good work that you have put in throughout the year. Maraming salamat. And it is time, it's our opportunity here, now, today, to make things right, to make things better, to make the lives of each Filipino better. That is how important our jobs are. And that is why, from the depths of my heart, I am grateful to you for the work that you have done, because I know that you have dedicated above and beyond lahat ng ginagawa ninyo, above and beyond the call of duty, as we say in the military. Let us look forward to next year and reinvigorate ourselves, remind ourselves of the principles that we work for, remind ourselves why we do what we do, and put our heads down and continue to work.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, or DSUD, to prioritize the rollout of quality housing projects situated near workplaces, transport hubs, and essential government services. In a palace briefing on Monday, Press Officer Claire Castro said the President met earlier in the day with DSUD Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling and other officials to review the agency's accomplishments and ongoing pipeline programs. She added that President Marcos likewise instructed the agency to streamline payment systems to ease the financial burden on beneficiaries. Since the start of his administration, President Marcos has repeatedly underscored the need to provide Filipino families with decent, affordable, and quality housing. The government, she said, remains committed to improving living conditions and advancing inclusive growth.
Alinsunod sa layunin ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. na pagaanin ang pamumuhay ng mga residenteng lilipat sa mga pabahay ng pamahalaan. Ipinag-utos ngayong araw ng Pangulo sa Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development sa pangunguna ni Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling na unahin ang pagbibigay ng mga dekalidad ng mga pabahay malapit sa trabaho, terminal, at iba pang pangunahing serbisyo ng pamahalaan. Kaninang umaga, nagkaroon ng pagpupulong si Pangulong Marcos Jr. at Secretary Aliling kasama ang ibang mga opisyal ng DSUD upang pag-usapan ang mga nagawa at mga nakapilang programa pa ng ahensya. Ipinag-utos din ng Pangulo sa DSUD na isulong ang pagkakaroon ng flexible at abot-kayang paraan ng pabahay para sa mga low at middle income na pamilya, kagaya ng rental housing at ibang programa. Mas simpleng proseso para magkabahay. Ipinag-utos din ng Pangulo ang pagkakaroon ng mas simpleng proseso para makapagbayad. Ang Pangulong Marcos Jr. ay naniniwala sa kahalagahan ng pamilyang Pilipino na magkaroon ng disente, abot-kaya at dekalidad ng mga pabahay.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Monday announced that the government's campaign against African swine fever, or ASF, has achieved a 90% vaccine efficacy rate. In a Malacañang briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. welcomed the report of Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. on the results of government-supervised vaccinations conducted on healthy ASF-negative hogs. The Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Animal Industry, or DA-BI, has been using AVAC live vaccines in its rollout, which has so far covered nearly 500,000 hogs across 12 semi-commercial farms, 9 smallholder farms, and 1 government-run facility. The vaccination program is being implemented in the provinces of Batangas, Rizal, Laguna, Bulacan, Tarlac, and Pampanga. As of December 11, by data show 31 villages with active ASF cases across 6 regions: Ilocos, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Mimaropa, Eastern Visayas, and Soc-Sargen.
Sa isinagawang meeting kaninang umaga ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. sa DA Secretary Francisco Tio Laurel Jr. kasama ang iba pang opisyal. Ikinatuwa ng Pangulo ang ulat ng ahensya na nagpapatuloy na kontrolado ang African Swine Fever o ASF sa bansa matapos na makapagtala ng 90% efficacy rate ang bakuna laban dito. Sa ulat ng DA, halos 500,000 ng mga baboy ang nababakunahan ng pamahalaan kontra ASF sa ilang bahagi ng bansa, kasama na dito ang Batangas, Rizal, Laguna, Bulacan, Tarlac at Pampanga.
Meanwhile, President Marcos Jr. has expressed satisfaction with the progress and reforms in the agriculture sector, highlighting efforts aimed at improving the livelihoods of farmers and fishers. Castro said the president commended several initiatives of the DA, including the establishment of 33 agri-food hub units in Pampanga, Quezon, Camarines Sur, and Bukidnon. The administration has also deployed 145 rice processing systems, or RPS, nationwide, with 127 completed and 18 still under construction. The DA is likewise preparing to inaugurate a mega cold storage facility in Pili, Camarines Sur in January 2026, with 33 additional sites identified for future cold storage development.
Nakapagbukas na rin ang DA ng 33 units ng Agri-Food Hub sa 4 na probinsya kagaya ng Pampanga, Quezon, Camarines Sur at Bukidnon. Ang Agri-Food Hub ay disenyo upang palakasin ang mga bagsakan ng mga produktong pang-agrikultura. Layunin din ito palakasin ang kakayanan ng mga magsasaka at mangisda sa kanilang kabuhayan. Maliban sa mga programang ito, natukoy na rin ng pamahalaan ang 145 rice processing system kung saan 127 dito ay naitayo na sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa. 18 naman dito ay nagpapatuloy ang construction. 145 beneficiaries ang makikinabang dito. Samantala, malugod namang ibinalita ng DA na nakatakdang magbukas sa susunod na buwan, January 2026, ang isang mega cold storage facility sa Pili, Camarines Sur. Mayroon na ring 33 units na ang na-identify ng pamahalaan na mabibigyan ng cold storage facility sa bansa. Sa liderato ng Pangulo, lahat ay aangat, lalong-lalo na ang mga magsasaka at mangingisda na malapit sa kanyang puso.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Monday, Malacañang said it is open to tapping the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, or UNCAC, to help track down and arrest fugitive former Ako Bicol Party List representative Elizalde Co, alongside its ongoing coordination with Interpol. In a Palace Press briefing, Presidential Communications Office, or PCO Undersecretary Claire Castro said the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, Department of Justice, or DOJ, and Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, have already been consulted regarding the proposal raised by Senate President Pro Tempore Panfilo Lacson.
According to Foreign Affairs Secretary Lazaro, yes, we can explore UNCAC as it has international cooperation mechanisms, but it will have to depend on the country. Countries are obliged to provide, as applicable and in accord with domestic law, widest possible mutual legal assistance to each other. However, Presidential UNCAC Interagency Committee with the ES as chair should be convened as it implements and monitors UNCAC. Sa parte naman po ng DOJ, base po sa kanila, wala pa pong aktibong ugnayan with UA at invocation of UNCAC. Interpol pa lang po ang coordination. Okay? At mula naman po kay Secretary John Vic, sinabi po niya, the matter has been referred to the Commission for Transnational Crimes. I am certain that the option mentioned by Senator Ping is part of the agenda.
Asked whether intelligence-related issues contributed to delays in Co's arrest, Castro clarified that the warrant was issued only recently. Castro likewise addressed questions about President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s earlier assurance that arrests linked to alleged flood control project anomalies would be made before Christmas. She added that the DOJ and the Office of the Ombudsman are actively working on the cases and urged the public to await further updates.
Kailan naman po nagkaroon ng warrant of arrest? Kung di tayo nagkakamali, last week, 2 weeks ago. But hindi po ibig sabihin ito na napakatagal na po. Nakita po natin kung paano po magtrabaho ang DILG, DFA, at hindi po ito, wala pong kinalaman to sa Intel Funds. Katulad po ng pangako ng Pangulo ay mayroon mai-issue ng warrant of arrest, may hindi magiging maganda ang Pasko dahil sa mga nasangkot sa maanumalyang flood control project. So abangan na lang po natin dahil ito naman din po ay sa ating pagkakaalam ay talagang tinatrabaho rin po at pinagtutuunan ng pansin ng DOJ pati na po ng Ombudsman.
That was Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has directed government agencies to put the safety of Filipino fishers front and center after Chinese vessels reportedly used water cannons and carried out dangerous maneuvers against about 20 Filipino fishing boats near Escoda Shoal in the West Philippine Sea. In a briefing Monday, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, has already condemned the December 12th incident, which occurred roughly 70 nautical miles off mainland Palawan. She added that the president also ordered the deployment of assets to strategic areas to ensure monitoring and protection for Filipino fishing communities. Castro noted that President Marcos supports boosting the Philippine Coast Guard's capabilities through the acquisition of additional vessels to reinforce the country's maritime presence. She also underscored his call for unity in safeguarding national interests and the welfare of Filipinos in the region.
Unang-una po nasabi na po ng DFA na kinokondem po natin ang nasabing insidente. At nakausap po mismo natin si Commodore Tariela at ang pinagbilin po at ang direktiba ng Pangulo ay unahin ang kaligtasan ng ating mga kababayan, ang mga mangingisda na minsan ay nanganganib ang kanilang buhay. At pinag-utos din po na magkaroon ng deployment sa mga strategic location para mabantayan at mabigyan proteksyon ang ating mga mangingisda. At sinusuportahan po ng Pangulo ang pagbili ng mga Coast Guard vessels para mas marami po na makapagbantay din po sa ating interes at interes ng ating mga kababayan. At ito po ang panahon upang ang bawat Pilipino ay magkaisa, iangat ang interes ng bansa natin, iangat ang interes ng kapwa Pilipino natin.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Monday, Malacañang said that the proposed funding increase for the medical assistance for indigents and financially incapacitated patients, or MyFIP, program is intended to broaden zero-balance billing and improve access to healthcare services, especially in hospitals run by local government units or LGUs. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the Department of Health, or DOH, is seeking a higher MyFIP allocation to meet zero-balance billing needs, including in facilities outside the DOH network. Castro also stressed that the funds will not be coursed through politicians, following concerns from some groups that the program could compromise human dignity. Asked whether President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. might veto the proposed increase, Castro said the matter is not a political decision. Under the proposed 2026 national budget, MyFIP funding would rise from 24.23 billion pesos to 51.6 billion pesos. The palace said the higher allocation aims to strengthen healthcare delivery and ensure that indigent and financially struggling patients receive necessary medical assistance without added financial burden.
Ang plano po kasi dito ng DOH ay maiangat at maitaas po ang budget ng MyPIF dahil po ito ay para mas matugunan po yung zero balance billing sa LGUs. May mga hospital po dito na hindi po kaugnay ng DOH hospitals at nais pong palawakin pa ang serbisyo sa ating mga mamamayan sa pamamagitan po ng pagbibigay din po ng zero balance billing sa LGU hospitals. Hindi po ito idadaan sa mga politiko. Ito po ay manggagaling din po sa DOH. Hindi po kasi dadaan sa mga politiko ang pondo na ito. Dediretso po ito sa local government units, sa LGU hospitals, at ang magpapatupad din po nito ay DOH.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is pushing for tighter oversight and full transparency in the rollout of Farm to Market Road, or FMR, projects to avoid a repeat of previous corruption controversies. In a press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the President has consistently emphasized the need for a well-managed national budget and clean infrastructure spending, noting that he personally ordered probes into irregular flood control and other infrastructure projects. Castro added that President Marcos wants all transactions to be transparent and accessible to the public, pointing to the government's transparency portal and noting that the Department of Agriculture, or DA, will adopt the same approach. She also addressed concerns that shifting FMR projects from the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, to the DA might simply relocate rather than resolve corruption risks. Castro confirmed that the President was aware of DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon's last-minute appeal during the bicameral conference committee to restore about 54 billion pesos that had been cut from the agency's proposed budget. The DPWH had already submitted its budget proposal, but reductions were made at the Senate level.
Tandaan natin, sino po ba ang unang nagsabi na gusto niyang maging maayos ang budget? Ang Pangulong Marcos Jr. Siya rin po ang nagpaimbestiga ng mga maaanumalyang flood control projects at infrastructure. So ayaw niya pong maulit yung mga naganap nung nakaraan. Kaya ito po ang nais niya, maging maayos lahat ang transaksyon, maging bukas sa publiko. Kaya po nagkakaroon po tayo ng transparency portal at yan din po ang gagawin po ng DA. Ang programa pong ito ay pamumunuan po ng DA at ng LGU at pati po ang mga bidding po nito ay open po sa publiko para pakita po nila.
Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said Monday that the country's economic managers and the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP tackled a broad set of measures to address current economic challenges, including the weakening peso during a meeting held last week. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the BSP reaffirmed that the exchange rate is driven by market forces and that the Philippines continues to hold strong foreign exchange reserves. She added that inflation remains low and is projected to stay within target over the next 2 years, which is expected to support domestic demand. Castro said the government also presented concrete steps to draw more private sector participation and boost investor confidence. This includes reducing regulatory barriers that slow down investment and rolling out of new initiatives and opportunities, particularly in agriculture. She noted that that economic managers also highlighted the administration's ongoing efforts to pursue individuals linked to flood control anomalies, with more arrests expected before year end. Major reforms and investments are likewise anticipated to enhance productivity and attract more foreign direct investments. On the peso outlook, she said the economic team and the BSP view the country's low and stable inflation as a key advantage. Castro added that the strong credit rating reflects investor confidence in the administration's economic leadership.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas allows the exchange rate to be determined by market forces. We continue to maintain robust reserves. At kung ano po ang kanilang mga hakbang, ito po at ating iisa-isahin. Inflation remains low, continues to be within the target for the next 2 years. This will drive domestic demand. At ang mga gagawin po, unang-una po ay the economic team continues to clear bottlenecks to attract more private sector participation. These include the temporary suspension of all field audits and related operations of the Bureau of Internal Revenue in response to taxpayers' concerns on letters of authority and mission orders. Number 2, the government will reduce regulations and processes that hamper investments and will soon announce new initiatives and investment opportunities for the private sector, particularly in the agriculture sector. Number 3, the government continues to arrest those responsible for the flood control anomalies, with more personalities expected behind bars by year-end. Ongoing efforts to address infrastructure gaps and game-changing investments reforms, such as the Public-Private Partnership Code, the Create More Act, the Enhanced Fiscal Regime for Large-Scale Metallic Mining, the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotion Act or CMEPA, and the Investors Lease Act are expected to boost economic productivity and foreign direct investments. The government is also fast-tracking the rebuilding of critical infrastructure in communities hit by recent calamities to restore economic activity and support livelihoods. The country's low and stable inflation is among the strengths cited by Standard & Poor's when it reaffirmed the Philippines' BBB Plus, high investment grade rating with a positive outlook. A high credit rating signals investors' strong vote of confidence in President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s leadership.
Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday hosted the Handog ng Pasko, a luncheon with local government leaders at Foro de Intramuros in Manila. During the gathering attended by local government leaders, the President thanked local governments for their continued service and cooperation with the national government. President Marcos underscored the crucial role of local government units or LGUs in carrying out national programs and advancing good governance, expressing his gratitude for their service and continued collaboration with the national government. The chief executive also urged collective effort in shaping a bagong Pilipinas or new Philippines and extended his wishes for a peaceful and meaningful Christmas to all.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.